And oh, there we go. So am
So,
I up on a screen somewhere on a projector?
yes, everybody
Okay.
can see you.
Okay, fantastic. Hi everybody. Thanks for taking the time out of your evening to be with us tonight. My name's Rob. I'm from Aeon Timeline, and here with me tonight is Rebecca. So we're over in Australia, and as the name may imply, we make a timeline app. And my role here is the content and community specialist. And the main part of my role is creating guides and articles to help people understand how to use the app. So presenting is actually fairly new to me. So I do apologize if I get a little bit lost or stumble on my words. And hopefully the accent's not too bad. I'll try not to sound too Aussie for you. So Rebecca's here, but she won't be saying all that much. She's mostly here to answer any technical questions that come up, and she'll also be ready to bail me out if I get stuck. And we're here tonight because Glenn invited us to share the app with you. He's used it for a few years, and he thought it might be helpful in the work that you're doing. So it's a shame that you can't join us tonight, Glenn. Hopefully you get to review this video and pick up a few things that'll come in handy for your own work. So the plan of attack is to spend about 45 minutes showcasing and demoing the app, and then there'll be 10 to 15 minutes at the end to answer any questions that you might have. So feel free to write any questions in the chat as we go, and we'll run through and answer those at the end of the call. So I'll just bring up the app now. So just give me a moment and I'll share my screen. Sharing is not turned on. I'm just sending a request to share for this meeting. So somebody might need to give me access to that.
Is that working now?
Let's see. I'll try that again. Hey. All right.
Hit maximize on that one, but mine be a little bit better.
There we go. Research now.
Okay. Hopefully you can hear my screen now. I'll just get my Zoom windows in the right place so I can see what's going on. Okay. All right. So here's what's on the agenda for today. I'll first explain a little bit about what Aeon Timeline is and what the app does. Then I'll introduce you to the app and show you the basics. And then I'm going to run you through three key activities that I think will be most useful for your group. And that is how to add images and links to your timeline, how to create a timeline with multiple family members, and how to categorize events as your timeline grows. So I believe that Glenn may have shared one of his timelines with some of you already, but to give you a few more details on what it is, Aeon Timeline is a desktop application that helps you build and manage large timelines. And when you think of a timeline, you might think of a static image. It's just a horizontal line with a few labels coming off it. But the problem with a static image is that it's not very flexible and it can only show you quite limited information. And it's not really ideal when tracking family history, as there's so much information that you might discover that you might want to add to it. So Eon Timeline does a whole lot more than what a static image can do. So I'll get into that now and start the demo. Okay, so when you open the app for the first time, this is the welcome screen that you'll see, and it gives you a few demo timelines that you can choose from, and you can choose the theme that you'd prefer. And when you create a new timeline, you have the option to choose from a few categories of templates. There is a family history template that I'll show you later, but for now, I'll just go with the general template and just to go over the basics of the app. And it does give you the option when you're using one of these templates to include example content. So that can be toggled on or off. But for the purposes of this, I'll leave that example content on. Okay, so now that my timeline is created, I'll just give you an overview of the main features of the app. I'll get that out of the way. Starting with the timeline view, which is where we are now. And when you start off with the general template, it gives you these three generic events. And as you can see, the dates it's given us are based in the year 2024. But for a family history timeline, you could be tracking everything over the last 10 years or maybe the last few centuries. And on the timeline, you can move around by dragging this bar down the bottom. You can zoom in or out to show a small or a larger time period. And I'll start by creating a couple of events from scratch so you can see the mechanics of how it all works. And on the timeline, I can double click on it at any point and it inserts an event there wherever the cursor is pointing. So I'm just going to give this one a very imaginative name. Grandpa is born. And you can adjust the dates when the event's selected. So when you select an event, this is called the inspector on the right over here, and this is where you enter all the details of the event. And to set a date, you can just type it into the date field here. So you can type a full date, or it could be just a year. So I'll enter a date in here. Okay, and it populates the date on the event there. And I'll add a couple more events just to start building out Grandpa's timeline. So let's say Grandpa moves to the USA. And then, yeah, Grandpa gets married, actually. Wedding at St. Mary's. And let's tweak the date on this a little. Okay, so a couple of very, very generic events there. So now we've got those. Up the top of the screen here, there's a few buttons that you can change select different views to use. I'm just going to focus on the timeline and the spreadsheet for today. But anything you create in the timeline, it also gets added to the spreadsheet. It's really just another view that you can use to view and edit your information. And you can also see that those the example events that the template started us off with are shown here. So you can click on these to edit the information, so the label or the date, or they can be selected and deleted, which I'll do just to get them out of the way. And you can also add new events right here in the spreadsheet just by clicking there and entering. And it's also handy if you have another spreadsheet in Excel or Google Docs, you can copy and paste your information into here quickly. So it's just a quick and easy way to build out the events on your timeline. So that's the basics of creating a timeline and adding a few events. So now I'll show you how you can attach images and links to your events. So yeah, so as you're researching and discovering old photos, yeah, you probably want to show them on your timeline at some point. So here's how we can do that. So first, I'll select the event again to bring up the inspector. And then down at the bottom here, there's a section called Files and Links. So I'll just click that to open it up. And I actually have an image of the wedding on my hard drive. So I'll attach that here. So there's the option to attach it or to link it. So first of all, I'll use attach because it's on my hard drive. And you won't be able to see what I'm doing here because it's not shared with Zoom, but it's just, my computer menu. So I'm selecting the image, and then you can, attach images to all your events. And I also happen to have the marriage certificate, and this one is saved in the cloud. So for this one, I've got an internet URL that I'll paste in here. So going back down to the file section on my inspector. So this time under files, I'm going to choose links, and I'll paste in my URL, and I'll give it a title so I know what it refers to later. Okay. And so now we have a picture of the wedding, and it has a clickable link to view the marriage certificate. So if I click this link, it actually opens it up in an internet browser tab. You won't be able to see that because, again, it's not being shared with Zoom, but that's how that works. And these images and links, they're set to show on the timeline by default. But if you prefer, at any point, you can toggle them on or off by clicking the item display menu down the bottom here, and then attachments. So you can turn those on and off. Okay, so there you go. That's how you add images and links to events on the timeline. So now I'll show you how you can create a timeline that includes multiple family members. Because there's definitely a good chance that your timeline will involve a lot of different people. So first, I'll show you how you can track the different people involved in your timeline. And then I'll show you how the app can help you see everyone's timelines in parallel. So I'll start with this event here for Grandpa and Grandma's wedding. And what I'm going to do is tag them both in the event. So I'll do that by first selecting the inspector, selecting the event to bring up the inspector like I have here. And I'm going to assign each of my grandparents to the event. So over here, where we've got add person, I'll click on that. And again, these are going to be very imaginative names. Grandpa Joe, excuse me. And then I'll click this again to add another person. And we got Grandma Sue. Oh. Okay, and as I've added those here, you probably saw these little their initials and the icons turn up. So we call that an avatar. So that's been added to the event. And or actually, what I've done here, we refer to this kind of thing as a relationship. So there's a relationship between the person and the event. And now if I go over to the left here, there's a little people icon. So if I click that, it opens up the people panel. And in here, you can see that it's added both of those people I just created to the list. And I can create and manage all of the people in my timeline from this panel over here. Let's close that for now. Oh, actually, I'll show you something quickly. So I'll just select Grandma Sue. So that's now opened her up in the inspector over here. And you can add all kinds of information about each people. So you can add notes, you can add their birthday. So I'm actually going to just paste in grandma's birthday. And now it will show her age for any events that she's been tagged in. So at this point, she's only been tagged in the wedding. But you can see here that she was 18 years old when she got married. Okay, and we just jump back to the spreadsheet. So you can also see in here, in the spreadsheet, there's a column for person. So I can also assign Grandpa Joe to these events that he's involved in from the spreadsheet here. So if I click on this and I can open that and I can select Grandpa Joe. Yeah, so that's another quick and easy way to add people to events. All right, and now here's one I prepared earlier. So I'll just jump into another file that shows what your timeline might look like after a bit of work. And this one is based on the family history template. And in here, there's a number of events related to a whole lot of different people. And if I open the people panel, we can see that there are a few family members in there. And on the timeline, it's starting to get a little bit harder to follow what's going on. The events aren't just related to one person anymore. And there's a lot of information in there that's really useful, but it's getting a little bit harder to pick things out. So the app can help with that by arranging each person's events neatly into their own rows, and it makes it much easier to follow each person's timeline. So in this file, yeah, as you can see, the people have already been assigned to the events, but rather than just their initials, it's showing their whole name, and that's just something that you can customize in each file. So now, if I click the group button down the bottom here, this menu pops up. And in the relationship section here, I'm going to check the box next to person and take note of what happens on the timeline when I do that. So if you notice that we went from everything mixed up together on the timeline to having multiple parallel rows for all of our people. So in the app, we call these groups. And each group shows only the events that are related to that person, which makes it much easier to see. Yeah, makes it much easier to see. Yeah, to make sense out of the timeline. And you can also collapse each row as you need to, if you want to create a bit more space. And when you do that, you can still see a little mini map of the events that they're involved in. Okay, so yeah, so that's how to add people to events and how you can go from one shared timeline to separate rows for each person. So this just makes it easier to see each person's story and how they all fit together. Okay, so actually, and one of the other things you can see on here is locations. And if I just scroll across here, so yeah, so you can also add locations in the spreadsheet or in the inspector. Yeah, when you select an item. Okay, so now we're going to look at organizing and categorizing events as your timeline grows. You might find that you're tracking a lot of different things as your family timeline grows. Besides births, deaths, and marriages, you might want to track someone's career or their time with a certain group or an organization. And other things you could do include tracking the creation dates of records, adding important world events to give context of what your family was living through at the time. And so I'm just going to open a new version of the family history template. So this has got the timeline set up to show. Hang on. Actually, let's open this. So create a new one. Historical and then family history. I'll leave the content on, use the template. Okay, so this one has a group set up to show records, such as birth and marriage certificates. All right. And so as you've seen, we can track a lot of different types of information, events, people, and places are the types that we've looked at. So records are another type of information included in this template. And these different categories of information are referred to item types. So now I'll show you how to create a new item type, and this one's going to be for world events. And that'll give you a place that you can track events that aren't tied to specific people, but may have impacted them. So things like wars, cultural movements, or economic factors are topics that could go in here. So to do that, I'm just going to go into settings, which is up on the top right here. And I'm going to duplicate events, the event item type, and I'm going to give it the name world events. Okay, so just naming that, and I'll give it an icon to make it distinct so I can pick it out. Okay, and then I'll just click OK. Okay. All right, so now I just need to make it visible as a group. So I'm just going to click down here and I'll find world events. And now it's created a row on my timeline for world events. And I can add events directly into this group. So I'll just add a couple of example ones in here. Let's say Great Depression. Tweak the date a little. And I'll add another one in here as well. Okay, we've got World War II. Okay, so yeah, so that can just give you a little bit of context of what our family members were, what was going on in the rest of the world while our family members were doing things. So if I switch back to the spreadsheet now, you can see that those events that I've just added are in here in chronological order with the rest of our events. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for the demo. There's a bit to go through there, but that's really just one of the ways that you can manage information in Aeon Timeline. So hopefully something like this could help you consolidate a lot of your research and help you stay organized. Yeah, so just a little bit of information for you. So Aeon Timeline works on both Mac and Windows, and you can download and install a free trial from aeontimeline.com. So that's Aeon with an A. So that's AEON timeline.com. And we'll also be working on an online version of the app this year. You can sign up to the newsletter on our website if you'd like to be notified of when that's available. But yeah, that's it for the demo now. So yeah, I guess we'll go to any questions that you might have. Just,
Rob, this is Jim. Can you hear me?
yes. Hi, Jim.
Thanks for being here tonight. Um, do you also offer any like a tutorial to go along with this, or maybe podcast or anything? If we get involved and we get hung up in it.
We do have there's a few guides on the website. So that's one of the things that so we've got a good like quick start guide that goes through some of the stuff we just went through then to help you get your head around the basics. There's a few different guides catered to some of the different templates that we have. And some of those are really useful. So even if it's a topic that you're not immediately interested in, some of the processes that you go through in the guides they carry across to all sorts of different things. And we also have a forum on the website where people go to ask questions, and we answer questions on there. And we've also got a really good community of really experienced and supportive users that help people out. But as well as that, if you have any questions, you can email them through to support@aeontimeline.com, and it's highly likely that it'll either be myself or Rebecca that will be replying to you. Yeah.
And so right now, this is to use this is a download to your device, to your computer, and you're working on an online version.
Yes. Yeah, that's
You
right.
you anticipate that coming up roughly when?
That's a Rebecca question.
Okay.
Hi, yeah, yeah. I'm working on programming that. Yeah. So, yep, it is currently a download. It works on Mac, Windows, and there are also iOS versions that you can use on your phone or tablet on the go. For the online version, we hope to be in beta testing at the later part of this year, but that's not something we can't give you a solid date on that. But we're very excited for it. So we're looking at testing around the end of this year, and that will, as that testing progresses, we'll open it up as like an open beta test. If you want early access, you can be using it then.
So if we were to go to aeontimeline.com now, you said there's a trial version or something we could work with.
Yeah, there's a 2-week free trial, so you can download that onto whatever type of computer you have, run that, and it's 2 weeks for free. It takes no credit card information or anything like that when you do the trial. If it's not for you, that's fine. The trial just ends on its own. Yeah.
Okay. And if we have questions, is there a way to chat or just write questions to your site, or do we text you, Rebecca, with our questions?
Yeah, you've got a
Jim,
number
you're
now.
welcome to
Yeah,
text me.
anytime.
Jim,
Okay.
you're welcome to text me any questions. You could also reach out through email, support@aeontimeline.com. And if you're on the website, there's just a link in the header to help or support or something like that. And that'll get you to a form that'll come through to us.
Okay. Those are all the
But
questions
we
I have.
really,
I
yeah.
have a few
And
questions from the classroom. Can you hear us in the classroom?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. Loud and clear.
You mentioned you have iOS. You don't by chance have Android or plans for that?
unfortunately, no, I apologize. When we have the online version, though, that will be how Android devices will be able to use the app.
Okay, great. And another question, and by the way, I'm very impressed. I think this is really awesome, and it will be really cool for us to use. My other question is there a limit, whether it's like number of names or number of events or, storage space or whatever, how much stuff you can enter? I'm working on a family line back from the United States to Scotland in the 17th century. So potentially I could have thousands of names with all accompanying. Is that kind of too much for what you intend, or can you handle
No.
something that-
Yeah, no, not at all. Storage space, since it's a downloaded app, the file is just stored on your computer. So as long as your computer can store it, that's the limit to the storage space. For the number of records we've seen added to the app, we usually don't see people go beyond, 10,000 or so, but the app can handle that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, 10,000 would be plenty.
Yeah.
And my last question, since I'm talking in the thousands, that's a lot to enter manually. Do you have any kind of import that mostly I'm working in the app family search, and they do have a couple of ways of exporting, but do you have any plans or current ability to import large data sets?
Yeah, currently the app can import from a CSV file. That's just a text-based spreadsheet. Most Excel, Google Sheets should be able to export as a CSV, and I'm not sure what Family Search can export, but if it exports any type of spreadsheet, we'll be able to help you get that imported.
Okay, I'll have to check on that. I don't think that it exports CSV. I know the main export that most people use is it's a genealogy format called GED.com. I don't know if you've heard of that, but that's kind of as I understand, I'm not the technical person for that, but as I understand, that's a pretty common format that genealogy apps use to export and import. So you probably don't have that, but maybe you could consider it.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard of it actually. We don't support importing it directly. I do know there is actually a developer who uses the app who's actually working on building a way to import those directly. We have heard of it. If it's any sort of standardized format, we may not be able to do it at the moment, or there might need to be a separate step where we take that GED.com format, put it into a spreadsheet, and then import from that. But it's definitely something we'll be able to help you work with. We'd probably just need to sit with it for a week and think about how we can get that done.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. One more thing, maybe just a bug to put in here if you're going to sit down and think about it. So, as I understand it, and I'm not one of the technical or developer people on Family Search, so you probably have to look in this, but I know that they have a developer API that other places like I heard that Ancestry.com uses Family Search's developer API just via Python scripts. And so if it wasn't too time consuming or something of interest to you, you could actually get direct access to all of the data in Family Search via that developer API in Python.
Okay, yeah, I've just looked that up. It looks, well put together, well documented. Definitely something you can have a look at.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to use this.
Yeah. And what would be great for us to know as well, in looking at how we can integrate with these services, we'd really love to learn more from you guys about what your family history timelines look like. What is the sort of data you're tracking that's important to you? What are all the different types of dates, types of what we call item types, like the categories of information that you're tracking. We love to learn more about it to make sure that we can, our app can support the work that you do. So 100% out, reach out with any questions. Yep, go for it.
Yeah, one thing just to give you a little insight into what I'm doing personally, and the thing that really catches my eye about this. So I mentioned, I've got line back to like the 17th century, and it would be really interesting and really awesome for me to be able to put up world history events without having to enter, 300 years of data. So on the same subject of importing, and this is probably even more complex than my last request, but if I would pay a pretty penny for the app if I could import, some just generalized world events, and that's a huge scope. You'd have to figure out how that would work, but that would I would be a lifetime customer if I could import my family history from Family Search or Ancestry or one of those things, and then import world events and just see them up there. That would be my dreams come true.
Yeah. Okay. I will say noted. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can appreciate how interesting that would be, like to see all of that laid out together. Um, yeah, there's importing it, and there's also make sure like when you bring in that sort of data, you want to make sure it's absolutely correct, right? When you're bringing in world history, like who is the source? What's the
Yeah, so
we also
actually the
yeah.
the, the thing that your comment to make sure that it's absolutely correct, the further back you go, the more difficult that is, because historical records get sketchy, and that's kind of what I'm working on. I have a Stuart, last name Stuart ancestry that comes from Scotland and in the 1600s, and that's the same time that King Henry the Sixth of Scotland sent over all of the Scotch people to Northern Ireland. They called it Ulrich at the time, but it was the colony that started Northern Ireland, that still exists today. And so the thing that I'm trying to do is correlate what I know about my ancestors from that time point period and what's going on then. And I understand this is far beyond your current capabilities and everything. I'm just kind of trying to plant the bug in your ear. You kind of asked what I'm doing. This is what I'm trying to do is correlate family history records that are sketchy to various degrees with history that is also a little bit vague and sketchy. So, if there's any, in the coming months or release or whatever, if there's anything along those lines that you could do, that would just be pie in the sky for me. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I will say we have a lot on the list, but we love, like, thank you so much for sharing that. It is very useful for us to know because, yeah, obviously there's what we're working on right now, but we have a lot of big goals over the next few years that we're trying to get to. And we'd absolutely love to become an app with that sort of capability. Okay.
Just have a basic question. So do you store all the information just on your home computer or on the app, wherever it is? It's not in the cloud-based thing right now, is it? Or is it? Your actual
Do you want to go for it, Robert?
spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Your
Do you want to
actual
go for it, Robert? Do you
spreadsheet?
want me to grab it? Yeah. So currently,
Yeah, here you go. Here you go.
okay. I was going to say, currently it's installed on your computer and all its data is stored on your computer and not in the cloud.
And when you go with a cloud-based thing, will that be stored also on your computer or will that be in the cloud? Or you don't know yet?
That version of the app, the cloud-based version, it
Uh-huh.
will store its data in the cloud,
Well,
but
then
you
it'll
will
be
have the option of choosing which version you're going with.
okay. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions? You asked enough for all of us. Good job. No, you didn't. It was very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, thank you for having us. Any other questions, thoughts, Rob?
No, that's it from me. Yeah. Good luck with everything you're doing.
Thank
All
you.
right. Yeah, and we'll send through some links to help documentation, to getting started, that sort of thing. We'll email that through to Glenn, and Jim, I'll give you a text as well with just some links if you guys want to share that around.
That'd be great, Rebecca. Thank you so much. And you too, Rob.
All right. Thank you.
Well,
All right.
good night. Good night from us.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Yeah, great to meet you all.
Okay.
All right, good night.
Okay. Bye.
Tons of possibilities. You can use it for